All right, working on building this QAV 210 quadcopter racer. This is an FPV quad racer by Target Hobby. I'll say if you're used to buying some of the cheap stuff off of eBay and stuff, this kit is really truly proving to be a whole lot better than that, and I'll show you as we go through the build why I believe that to be so. All I've done so far is removed 6 screws that held the top plate on, that also held on these profile pieces, as well as this piece that protects the camera. Those just simply fell out. They ride in notches right in here, so when I unbolted this fell apart. I've taken this apart. Ultimately, this is going to need to be mounted into the quadcopter itself, facing this direction. I'll put in some 3mm standoffs, and I'll provide you guys with information on what you'll need to be able to finish this quadcopter. But right now I am working on soldering this up. So all I have done so far is I've put flux on all these little pads that I'm going to be soldering onto. I've also pre-tinned this battery pad here, and I need to solder on my cables for my battery itself. Remember, when it comes to soldering, keep your iron clean. A little bit of flux and a little bit of solder on your tip will help the solder to flow. Not much, just a tiny little bit. And there we go. So the battery cables are installed on our PDB, and now we'll just work our way around and do all of the ESCs. I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. So I'll just go ahead and get all of these HobbyMate BL Heli 12 amp ESC soldered on there, and then we'll work on getting it on the quad itself. All right, so let's go ahead and install the PDB. You're going to need these little standoffs. I got these in this little kit off of eBay. Again, it'll be listed. All right, now that I have everything soldered up, let me see if I can show you what's going on with this mess. Okay, so I have got the 4 ESCs soldered up correctly right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I've got the battery cable connected, which powers the entire power distribution board. So the power comes in, gets distributed to these. As well, there's a spot on here for the video and the video transmitter. So I've soldered on positive to positive, negative to negative on both of those. That's why these are connected. And then the yellow signal from the camera to the VTX. I know that this is just a white plug, but this is actually the video transmitter, also known as the VTX. And this just plugs into here. So that'll be powered off the power distribution board, camera going here. This is going to go to the back of the quad so that you can see how this lays out. This will go to the back of the quad. This will go to the front of the quad. This will be mounted with double stick tape right here on the bottom side. And then this will be mounted right here in the front, and all of this tucked underneath. So let me just briefly show you. I'm using nylon bolts. You have to use nylon because carbon fiber can actually carry electricity. It's conductive. So you have to use nylon bolts. I got this kit off eBay right here, so that's what you want to get. Something like this. This cost me $4. Something like that will work perfect. So what you do is just take this whole big mess and set it down. And then what we're going to use, and I'm not going to do it right now, but what we're going to use is these nylon bolts. These will screw down, and then that'll allow us to take our flight controller, put that on top as an offset, and then bolt that down as well. One of the other things that you guys are going to notice is that the power cables are way too long. You either shorten them up and then solder them onto the board, or just do this right here. This is my little trick, my tip, I guess, is to take this one, run it to the front like this, and then that can get attached right there. You can see the length is perfect for putting the motor in right there. Do the same with this one. This one's going to run over the top of that nylon bolt right there. And then, of course, bringing the back this way. Back the opposite direction. So this is what it's looking like. I've also plugged in the ESCs. Coolest thing about these bullet connectors is when I spin these all up, if one of these motors is in the wrong direction, spinning the wrong way, because each motor needs to turn inward. Just remember that. When you build this quad, build it like this. Silver ones here and here, black ones here and here, and you won't mess up. And then that's going to set on top like that. Camera will be mounted. Check this thing out, guys. This thing is sweet. I can't believe they sell this for $100, free shipping. Imagine this thing on 3-cell. It'll also handle 4-cell, so this thing's gonna rip. I think it's gonna be awesome. So I have zip tied the wires right here, because once this frame is put together, those wires are gonna be hidden, and that creates just kind of like an open chamber. So I've hid all of my wires, I've bundled them up, I've put them in there, and when the camera's installed, those wires will all be hidden with the top on the quad. So the board is bolted down, the ESCs are all plugged in, so I'll finish running everything and hooking everything up. This is what this quad looks like all put together. You've got the 4 motors, 4 ESCs, power distribution board, flight controller on top of that, all mounted with nylon hardware. You've got the FPV system installed, which is nothing more than the transmitter and the camera. And then I've got the receiver on top. So your output channels on your flight controller go to the ESCs for the motor, and the input channel come from your receiver, because your transmitter sends the signal to the receiver, into the control board. The control board puts it out to the motors. So that's just the basic setup. This is what this quad looks like. I have a little bit more kind of finishing up to do, but at least you can see what it's going to look like when it's done. And I did this like a beginner would build it, not necessarily someone experienced, because there's other things that you can do, shorten wires and clean things up a little bit. But this is just simple and straightforward build. This thing is awesome. I can't wait to test fly it.